Shalom, brothers and sisters. Back with another video. This is Beit Hakmi Desh, the son. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Isaiah 53. I'm going to break this whole chapter down. It's 12 verses. I'm going to break it down from first verse all the way through to 12. All right. Now, the Christians seem to think that Isaiah 53 is leading to their Jesus. And the Jews for Jesus think that it is leading to their black Yahushua. Both groups are false. And any religion who thinks that, this verse is talking about, their religion, their God, it's all false. Isaiah 53 is referring to the prophets. All right. Isaiah 53 is about the prophets. All right. Now, I'm going to break this down, and hopefully you guys hang in there with me. Like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel. And yeah, let's get to it. All right. So bear with me while I read the entire chapter. This is Isaiah 53, verse 1. Who would believe what we have heard? For whom has the arm of Yahweh been revealed? Verse 2. Formerly he grew like a sapling, or like a root from arid ground. He had neither form nor grandeur. We saw him but without such visage, that we could desire him. Verse 3. He was despised and isolated from men, a man of pains and accustomed to illness. As one from whom we would hide our faces, he was despised, and we had no regard for him. But in truth, it was our ills that he bore, and our pains that he carried. But we had regarded him diseased, stricken by God, and afflicted. He was pained because of our rebellious sins and oppressed through our iniquities. The chastisement upon him was for our benefit, and through his wounds we were healed. We have all strayed like sheep, each of us turning his own way, and Yahweh inflicted upon him the iniquity of us all. He was persecuted and afflicted, but he did not open his mouth. Like a sheep being led to the slaughter, or a ewe that is silent before his shearers, he did not open his mouth. Now that he has been released from captivity and judgment, who could have imagined such a generation? For he had been removed from the land of the living. My people's sin brought the affliction upon them. He submitted himself to his grave like wicked men, and the wealthy submitted to his executions, for committing no crime and with no deceit in his mouth. Yahweh desired to oppress him, and he afflicted him if his soul would acknowledge guilt. He would see offspring and live long days, and the desire of Yahweh would succeed in his hand. From his very own toil he will see and be satisfied. With his knowledge, my servant, the righteous one, will make multitudes righteous. It is their iniquities that he will carry. Therefore, I will assign him a portion from the multitudes, and he will divide the mighty as spoils. In return for having poured out his soul for death and being counted among the wicked, for he bore the sins of the multitudes and prayed for the wicked. All right, now let's unpack this. The first thing we must understand is Isaiah 53 is spoken of in the singular and then in the plural. All right, it is not talking about one person. It is talking about a group of people. All right, it is not the Israelites and Israelites meaning that being the children. And it is certainly not talking about Jesus or a Yahweh Shah. All right. This chapter is dealing with the prophets of Israel and the abuse that they suffered for the truth of God. All right, and that's what we're going to prove. All right, so now let's break this down. I want to start at really quickly. When we look at verse 1 is actually a continuation from 52 verses 14 and 15. It's literally the response. Because if you read 14 and 15, it says, just as multitudes were astonished over you, saying, indeed, his appearance is too marred to be a man's, and his visage to be human, so will the many nations exclaim about him, and kings will shut their mouths in amazement because of him, for they will see that which had never been told to them, and will perceive things they had never heard. So then in comes chapter 53, verse 1, in the first verse where it starts with the astonishment. It says, who would believe what we have heard? For whom has the arm of Yahweh been revealed? Boom. So that's verse 1. So it's literally kicking in with the response from the nations. All right. So again, this is 53 starts, and after verse 1 goes into explaining about the prophets now. So now let's look at verse 2 and 3. Because these two are together. So let's read them. Formerly he grew like a sapling, or like a root from a red ground. He had neither form nor grandeur. We saw him but without such visage that we could desire him. He was despised and isolated from men, a man of pains and accustomed to illness, as one from whom we would hide our faces. He was despised. He was despised, and we had no regard for him. All right, now let's unpack this. Verse 2 and 3. So first, let's go to Isaiah chapter 60, verse 14 and 15. So if you got like a little piece of paper, or if you got the little strip in your scriptures or your Bible, what have you, whatever you're using. Stick a pin in there, and let's go over to Isaiah chapter 60, verses 14 and 15. Isaiah chapter 60, verses 14 and 15. And we're going to travel a little bit, so, just hang in there. And again, remember, what we're going to unpack is verse 2 and verse 3 of Isaiah 53. All right, so let's go. Isaiah chapter 60, verse 14 and 15. It says, the sons of your oppressors will go to you submissively, and all who scorned you will prostrate themselves at the soles of your feet. They will call you city of Yahweh, Zion of the Holy One of Israel, instead of your being forsaken and despised without wayfarers. I will make you into an eternal pride, a joy for generation after generation. Again, you see verse 15 opens up and says what? Instead of your being forsaken and despised. So here is who? Yahweh talking to who? Isaiah, and telling him that instead of him being forsaken and despised, he's going to turn that into eternal pride, and make it a joy for generation after generation. All right. So now let's go to 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 4. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 4. 1 Kings chapter 18, verse 4. And it says this, and it was when Jezebel had decimated the prophets of Yahweh, Obadiah took 100 prophets and hid them, 50 men to a cave, and sustained them with food and water. All right. Now, let's go to chapter 19, verse 1 and 10. Verse 1. Then Ahab told Jezebel everything that Elijah had done and everything about how he had slain all the false prophets by the sword. Let's go down to verse 10. He said, I have acted with great zeal for Yahweh, God of legions. For the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant. They have razed your altars and have killed your prophets by the sword, so that I alone have remained, and they now seek to take my life. So now let's go to Amos chapter 7, verses 10 through 17. It's Amos chapter 7, verses 10 through 17. Amos chapter 7, 10 through 17. Bear with me. There we go. Amos chapter 7, verse 10 through 17. All right. Amaziah, the priest of Bethel, sent word to Jeroboam, king of Israel, saying, Amos has conspired against you in the midst of the house of Israel. The land cannot tolerate all his words. Okay? For thus did Amos say, Jeroboam will die by the sword, and Israel will be exiled from upon its land. He's prophesying. Amaziah then said to Amos, Seer, go flee to the land of Judah. Eat bread there, and there you may prophesy. But do not continue to prophesy in Bethel, for it is the sanctuary of the king and the seat of royalty. Amos replied and said to Amaziah, I am not a prophet, nor am I the son of a prophet, but I am a cattle herder and an examiner of sycamores. Yahweh took me from behind the flock, and Yahweh said to me, go prophesy to my people, Israel. And now hear the words of Yahweh. You say, do not prophesy concerning Israel, nor preach about the house of Isaac. Therefore, thus said Yahweh, your wife will be promiscuous in the city, and your sons and daughters will fall by the sword, and your land will be divided up by lot. You will die on contaminated soil, and Israel will surely be exiled from its land. So again, you see in there being rejection. All right, now let's go back to 1 Kings. Let's go to chapter 22, verse 5 and 6, and then 23 through 27. 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 5 and 6, and then 23 through 27. 1 Kings chapter 22, verse 5 and 6 says, Jehoshaphat then said to the king of Israel, inquire, please, today of the word of Yahweh. The king of Israel gathered the prophets, some 400 men, and said to them, shall I go to war for Ramoth Gilead, or shall I refrain? Now let's go to 23 through 27. And now behold, Yahweh has put a spirit of falsehood on the mouths of all these prophets of yours, for Yahweh has decreed evil upon you. Zedekiah, son of Shenaniah, Shenanah, then approached and struck Micaiah on the cheek and said, how is it that the spirit of Yahweh passed from me to speak to you? Micaiah said, behold, you will see for yourself on that day when you go inside a room within a room to be hidden. The king of Israel said, take Micaiah and turn him over to Amon, the minister of the city, and to Joash, the king's son, and say, thus said the king, put this one in the prison and feed him a minimum of food, and a minimum of water until I return in peace. All right, so that's Micaiah. All right, now let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 24, verse 20 and 22, 20 through 22. Excuse me, 2 Chronicles 24, 20 through 22. 2 Chronicles 24, 20 through 22. It says, a spirit of God came over Zechariah, son of Jehoiada, the Kohen. He stood above the people and said to them, thus said God, why are you transgressing the commandments of Yahweh? You will not succeed, for you have forsaken Yahweh, so he has forsaken you. But they conspired against him and stoned him with rocks by the command of the king in the courtyard of the temple of Yahweh. Thus King Joash did not remember the kindness that Zechariah's father Jehoiada had done for him, and he killed his son. As he was dying, he said, may God see this and demand redress. All right, now let's go to 2 Chronicles 16, 7 through 9. 2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 7 through 9. 2 Chronicles chapter 16, verse 7 through 9. And 10, actually. We can read all the way to 10. At that time, Hananiah, the seer, came to Asa, king of Judah, and said to him, because you relied on the king of Aram and did not rely on Yahweh, your God, therefore the army of the king of Aram will slip out of your hands. Behold, the Ethiopians and the Lubim constituted an immense army with very many chariots and horses. Yet when you relied on Yahweh, he delivered them into your hand. For Yahweh's eyes roam throughout the land to strengthen those whose hearts are sincerely with him. You have been foolish in this, for from now on you will have wars. Asa became angry with the seer, and he put him in prison, for he was furious with him. For this, Asa began to oppress some of the people at that time. Let's keep traveling. Now, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 26, verse 20 through 23. Jeremiah chapter 26, verse 20 through 23. Says, now there was another man who prophesied in the name of Yahweh, Uriah, son of Shemaiah of Kiriath Jearim. He prophesied concerning this city and concerning this land, exactly like all the words of Jeremiah. When King Jehoiakim and all his soldiers and all the officers heard his words, the king attempted to have him killed. Uriah heard and became afraid and fled, going to Egypt. King Jehoiakim sent men to Egypt. He sent Elnathan, son of Achbor, and some men with him to Egypt. They removed Uriah from Egypt and brought him to King Jehoiakim, who struck him down by the sword and threw his body into the graves of the common people. Verse 24, however, the power of Ahikam, son of Japhan, was with Jeremiah, not to deliver him into the hand of the people to kill him. All right, now remember, we're still talking about Isaiah 53, verses 2 and 3. All right, because it's a lot in that, so we're unpacking everything. So I just want to make sure y'all follow me. Like this video, feel free to comment, subscribe, and share the video. All right, let's continue. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 8, verses 12 through 20. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 12 through 20. Isaiah chapter 8, verse 12 through 20. Do not speak of a cabal, for everything that excuse me, let me start over. Do not speak of a cabal, for everything this people speaks of is a cabal. Do not fear what they fear, and do not attribute strength to them. Yahweh, master of legions, him shall you sanctify. He is your reverence, and he is your strength. He shall be a sanctuary, but also a striking stone and a stumbling rock for the two houses of Israel, a trap and a snare for the inhabitants of Jerusalem. and many people will stumble over them. They will fall down and be broken, trapped, and ensnared. Fasten this warning and seal the teaching onto the hearts of my students. I shall await Yahweh, who has concealed his face from the house of Jacob, and I will hope to him. Behold, which means look, I and the children whom Yahweh has given me are signs and symbols for Israel, from Yahweh, Master of Legions, who dwells in Mount Zion. Now, let's go to Nehemiah. That was Isaiah. Let's go to Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 26. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 26. Nehemiah chapter 9, verse 26. Then they became recalcitrant and rebelled against you, casting your Torah behind their backs. They killed your prophets. Why didn't he say they killed your Jesus? It said they killed your prophets who had warned them in order to make them return to you, and they committed great provocations. Why didn't they say that they killed your Yahushua or they killed your Jesus? It said they killed your prophets. You all have been killing the prophets. And still, let's go to 2 Chronicles 36, 15 and 16. 2 Chronicles 36, 15 and 16. 2 Chronicles chapter 36, verse 15 and 16. Yahweh, God of their fathers, had addressed them through his messengers, sending them from early morning, for he had pity on his people and on his abode. But they only insulted the messengers. See that? Plural. Messengers. Plural. All right? The prophets. Singular and then the plural. Affliction upon them. Plural. Verse 8. Remember that. But we'll get to that. Right now we're still on verse 2 and 3. But they only insulted the messengers of God and scorned his words and taunted his prophets. Why? Because the prophets was telling them to keep the commandments and the commandments only. Believe in Yahweh and Yahweh only. And y'all insulted them. Until the wrath of Yahweh rose up against his people beyond remedy. Now let's go to Ezekiel chapter 4, verses 1 through 16. Ezekiel chapter 4, verse 1 through 16. Ezekiel. Let's look at the prophet Ezekiel. Now you, son of man, take for yourself a brick, place it before you, and engrave on it a city, Jerusalem. Then lay siege against it, erect a siege tower against it, pour a ramp against it, place camps against it, and set up battering rams all around. Now you take for yourself an iron pan and place it as an iron wall between yourself and the city, and set your face against it. Thus it will be under siege, for you will lay siege to it. It is a sign to the house of Israel. Then lie upon your left side and place the iniquity of the house of Israel upon it, according to the number of days that you lie upon it. You will bear their iniquity. I have given you the years of their iniquity as a number of days, 390 days, and you shall bear the iniquity of the house of Israel. When you complete these, then lie on your right side a second time and bear the iniquity of the house of Judah for 40 days. A day for a year. A day for a year have I assigned it for you. Direct your face toward the siege of Jerusalem with your arm bared, and you shall prophesy against it. Behold, it is as if I had placed ropes upon you, so that you not turn from your one side to your other side until you have completed the days of your siege. Now you take for yourselves wheat, barley, beans, lentils, millet, and spelt. Put them into one vessel and prepare them as food for yourselves according to the number of days that you lie on your side. Follow me. 390 days are you to eat it. Now Your food that you eat shall be 20 shekels per day by weight. You shall eat this amount from this time one day to the same time the next day. And water by measure shall you drink, a sixth of a hin. From this time to the same time shall you drink it. You shall eat it as a barley cake, and you shall bake it with pieces of human excrement, that means poop, before their eyes. Yahweh said, thus will the children of Israel eat their food, unclean among the nations where I will banish them. But I said, alas, Lord Yahweh Elohim, behold, my soul has not been defiled. I have never eaten carrion nor meat from a wounded animal from my youth until now, nor has loathsome meat ever come into my mouth. So he said to me, see, I have permitted you the dung of cattle instead of human excrement. You may prepare your food upon them. Then he said to me, Son of man, behold, I am breaking the staff of bread in Jerusalem, and people will eat bread by weight and with worry, and drink water by measure and with consternation. For they will lack bread and water, and every man and his brother will be confounded, and they will pine away in their iniquity. So he told Ezekiel, okay, he told Ezekiel to lay on his face toward the siege of Jerusalem with bared arms and prophesy against it. He told Ezekiel to restrict himself for the siege of Jerusalem. All right, and that's yeah, that was the last one. All right, now let's go back to Isaiah 53. Now that was verse 2 and 3. I know it was a lot. Hope you guys are hanging in there. Hope you guys are following me in the scriptures. Hope you guys are following me in the scriptures. Okay? I don't want you just listening to me. I want you to follow me in the scriptures. All right? Don't be lazy. Don't just turn the video off. Follow me in the scriptures and learn. See for yourself. Don't just hear me. See for yourself. All right? Like this video, comment, subscribe to this channel. All right? Share this video. All right? All right, let's keep moving. So that's verse 2 and 3. Now let's look at verse 4 and 5. It says what? But in truth, it was our ills that he bore and our pains that he carried. But we had regarded him diseased, stricken by God, and afflicted. Verse 5. He was pained because of our rebellious sins and oppressed through our iniquities. The chastisement upon him was for our benefit, and through his wounds we were healed. All right, now let's go to Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 6 through 9 and 15. Ezekiel 36, verse 6 through 9 and verse 15. And it says, therefore, prophesy concerning the land of Israel, and say to the mountains and to the hills, to the streams and to the valleys, thus said the Lord Yahweh Elohim, behold, I have spoken in my vengefulness and in my wrath, because you bore the shame of the nations. Therefore, thus said the Lord Yahweh Elohim, I have left my hand, swearing that the nations surrounding you will bear their shame. But you, O mountains of Israel, will give forth your branch and bear your fruit for my people Israel, for they are soon to come. For behold, I am with you, and I will turn my attention to you, and you will be tilled, and you will be sown. All right, now let's go down to verse 15. It says, I will no longer allow the derision of nations to be heard about you, and you will no longer bear the shame of the peoples, and you will never again cause your nations to falter. The word of the Lord Yahweh Elohim. So this is the Lord Yahweh speaking to Ezekiel. All right. Now let's go back to Let's go to Isaiah. Let me see something. something on there. Give me 1 second. No, I don't want to go there. I don't want to go there. All right, let's keep moving. So that's 4 and 5. All right, now let's look at 6 and 7. All right, let's go to Jeremiah chapter 11, verse 18 and 19. Jeremiah chapter 11, verse 18 and 19. Try not to give y'all everything in the kitchen sink, but just enough so you understand that Isaiah 53 is talking about the prophets and the rejection of the prophets, and how they were afflicted and beaten and killed for the truth of Yah. All right, so Jeremiah 11, verse 18 and 19. It says, Yahweh informed me so I would know. Then you showed me their deeds. I am like a choice sheep led to the slaughter. I did not know that they devised schemes against me. Let us destroy him by placing tree poison in his food and cut him off from the land of the living so that his name will not be remembered anymore. Sound familiar to Psalms 83? We don't have to go there, but let's keep traveling. Let's go to Isaiah chapter 6, verses 8 through 11. Isaiah chapter 6, verses 8 through 11. Isaiah chapter 6, verses 8 through 11. It says, I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who shall go for us? And I said, here I am, send me. He said, go and say to this people, surely you hear, but you do not comprehend. And surely you see, but you fall to know. This people is fattening its heart, hardening its ears and sealing its eyes, lest it see with its eyes, hear with its ears, and understand with its heart, so that it will repent and be healed. And then I asked, let's keep reading, verse 11. I just want to read verse 11. Then I asked, how long, my Lord? And he said, until the cities become desolate without inhabitant, the house without a person, and the land becomes desolate, wasted. All right? So, you see, Isaiah being sent, and Yahweh telling them that he's going to be rejected. All right, now let's go to chapter 50 of Isaiah, verse 4 through 6, and verse 10. Chapter 50, verse 4 through 6, and verse 10. 50, 4 through 6, and verse 10 says, my Lord Yahweh Elohim has granted me a tongue for teaching, to understand the need of the times in conveying matters to those who thirst for knowledge. He arouses me morning after morning. He arouses my ear for me to understand as disciples are taught. My Lord Yahweh Elohim has opened my ear for me, and I did not resist. I did not retreat to the rear. Verse 6, I submitted my body to those who smite, and my cheeks to those who pluck. I did not hide my face from humiliation and spit. Verse 10, who among you fears Yahweh, listening to the voice of his servant? Though he may have walked in darkness with no light for himself, let him trust in the name of Yahweh and rely upon his God. All right. Now, let's go to Hosea chapter 9, verse 7. Hosea chapter 9, verse 7. Hosea chapter 9, verse 7. I hope you guys are getting this. The days of punishment have come. The days of requital have come. Let Israel know the false prophet is a fool. The man of spirit is mad because of the abundance of your iniquity. The enmity is great. So again, Hosea, attesting to the rejection of the prophets because of the word of Yahweh. All right, now let's go back to Isaiah 53. Let's keep traveling. Now let's look at verse 8. It says this. Now here comes the plurality. It says this. Now that he has been released from captivity and judgment, who could have imagined such a generation? Generation, that's plural. It's more than one. For he had been removed from the land of the living. We're back to the singular when it said he. For he had been removed from the land of the living, because all of them collectively. My people's sin brought the affliction upon them. So in the KJV, if you're reading a KJV, or you're on Google reading KJV or any other translation, it's or Christian Bible or what have you, it's going to say him. Now they purposely done this. They purposely put him. Why did they purposely put him? They purposely put him because they want to deceive you to make you think it's talking about your idol, but it's not. And on top of that, they slickly, in the singular, we also can recognize the plural. Let's look at this in Hebrew. All right, what it actually says in Hebrew is nega lemo. All right, nega lemo. All right, is to say stricken was he. Nega lemo. All right, or affliction upon him, or but the way you say it in Hebrew is nega lamo. All right, the word nega means to strike or to wound or to be stricken. All right, it is a noun. It is masculine. All right, lamo is a proposition. In Hebrew, the proposition always comes at the end of a word. All right, so you have the proposition, which is a masculine plural, third person, which comes after the noun, the masculine noun, which is nega. So you have nega lamo. All right. So the proposition is, which is speaking in third person, masculine plural, is to say was he. The he there is plural. Now slickly they put he or him, but they're banking on you not ever learning your original language. And so if you don't speak Hebrew and you don't understand the Hebrew, you don't know that he is in this sense in the plural, not in the singular. All right, and you don't know that lamo is a proposition. You don't even know what the Hebrew word is that's supposed to be there for he. So with that, you'll forever be lost. It's gonna always, put you in a rat circle, a rat maze. Excuse me. So it literally means stricken was he, nega lamo. All right. Yeah. So when we look at, let's see. I think that's it on verse 8. All right, so now let's look at verse 9. Let's look at verse 9. Verse 9 says, the wealthy submitted to his executions for committing no crime and with no deceit in his mouth. All right, so now for that, we need to go to Zechariah because, again, that is not talking about your Jesus or your Yahushua. All right, for that, let's first go, before I go to Zechariah, let's get 1 Kings 19 and 18. Let's get that. 1 Kings 19 and 18. 1 Kings chapter 19, verse 18. And it reads, but I will leave over in Israel 7,000 people, all the knees that did not kneel to the Baal, and every mouth They did not kiss it. All right. Now, let's go to Zechariah now. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 12 through 17 and 19 through 20. Zechariah chapter 3, verse 12 through 17 and then 19 through 20. Give me 1 second. I think that's what I want. No, I want not Zechariah. I think I want Zephaniah. Yeah. Sorry, not Zechariah, Zephaniah. Chapter 3, verse 12 through 17, and then 19 through 20. Zephaniah, I'm sorry. Yeah, Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 12 through 17, then 19 through 20. All right, yeah. It says, I will leave in your midst a humble and destitute people, and they will take shelter in the name of Yahweh. The remnant of Israel will not commit corruption. They will not speak falsehood, and a deceitful tongue will not be found in their mouth. For they will gaze and lie down with none to make them afraid. Let's read 14. Sing, O daughter of Zion. Sound the trumpet, O Israel. Be glad and exult with all your heart, O daughter of Jerusalem. Yahweh has removed your judgments. He has cleared away your enemy. The King of Israel, Yahweh, is in the midst. You will never again fear evil. On that day, it will be said to Jerusalem, have no fear, O Zion. Do not despair. Yahweh your God is in your midst, the mighty one who will save. He will rejoice over you with gladness. He will be silent with his love. He will be joyful over you with glad song. All right, now let's read verse 19 and 20. It says, behold, at that time I will crush all those who afflict you. I will save the crippled and gather the cast off, and I will make them for praise and a good name throughout the land of their shame. At that time I will bring you in, and at that time I will gather you, for I will make you into a good name and praise among all the peoples of the earth, when I return your captives before your eyes, said Yahweh. All right, so again, Yahweh said that he would leave in our midst a humble and destitute people, and they'll take shelter in the name of Yahweh. And that remnant of Israel will not commit corruption. That remnant of Israel will not commit corruption. So, give me 1 second. Okay. All right, so let's go back now. Let's look at verse 10. Verse 10 says what? Yahweh desired to oppress him, and he afflicted him. If his soul would do what? Acknowledge guilt, he would see offspring and live long days, and the desire of Yahweh will succeed in his hand. From his very own toil, he will see and be satisfied. With his knowledge, my servant, I'm reading verse 11. I'll finish it. The righteous one will make multitudes righteous. It is their iniquities that he will carry. All right, so let's deal with verse 10 first, because verse 11 and 12 is together. So let's deal with verse 10 first. All right, Yahweh desired to oppress him, and he afflicted him. If his soul would acknowledge guilt, he would see offspring and live long days, and the desire of Yahweh would succeed in his hand. All right, so now let's go to, where do I want to go? Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 1 through 16. Jeremiah chapter 3, verse 1 through 16. I want 1 through the whole 1 through 16. Let me see. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just want to see. All right, here we go. All right, I want to start from verse 12, and I'm going to read down to 15, 12 through 15. So let's read. It says, "Return, O wayward Israel, the word of Yahweh. I will not cast down my anger upon you, for I am the beneficent one, the word of Yahweh. And I will not bear a grudge forever. But you must recognize your sin, aka acknowledge guilt, that you have rebelled against Yahweh your God, and that you have spread out your ways to seek strange gods under every leaf tree, and you did not heed my voice, the word of Yahweh. Return, O wayward sons, the word of Yahweh, for I shall be your master. I shall take you, even one from a city and two from a family, and I shall bring you to Zion. I shall appoint shepherds for you according to my own heart, and they will care for you with knowledge and wisdom." All right, so now let's get these last two verses, and we done right here. All right, so let's look at verse 11 and 12. It says, from his very own toil he will see and be satisfied. With his knowledge, my servant, the righteous one, will make multitudes righteous. It is their iniquities that he will carry. Therefore, I will assign him a portion from the multitudes, and he will divide the mighty as spoils in return for having poured out his soul for death and being counted among the wicked. For he bore the sin of the multitudes and prayed for the wicked. All right, so now let's go to Isaiah chapter 49 and 6, and that's where we're going to hang our hat. Isaiah chapter 49 and 6 says this: "He said, it is insufficient that you be a servant for me only to raise up the tribes of Jacob and to restore the ruins of Israel. I will make you a light for the nations so that my salvation may extend to the ends of the earth." That is the word of the Lord to Isaiah. All right, again, he would assign them a portion, all right, from the multitudes, and he will divide the mighties as spoils in return for having poured out his soul, their soul collectively, for death, and being counted among the wicked. For he bore the sin of the multitudes, the prophets did it, and prayed for the wicked. All right, so the prophets is who is being spoken of in Isaiah 53, not Yahushua and not Jesus. And with that, I say shalom, shalom. All right, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Like this video, subscribe, comment, and share. All right, shalom.